Hello, this is Chris Lee at Southeastern14.com, ready to go through our top 14 offensive players in the Southeastern Conference entering Week 7. Well, the top of the list is two quarterbacks. It's Matt Corral of Ole Miss and Bryce Young of Alabama, and it's a tough decision. I have been flipping these guys back and forth all year. This week, I've got Corral ahead, and one of the main reasons, he's not thrown an interception while Bryce Young has thrown 3. He's also rushed for a lot more yards. Now, look, I don't think everything is just stats in football. I do think that Bryce Young beating Matt Corral head-to-head was significant, but also it had a lot to do with the defense that Corral was playing against was a lot better than the one Young was playing against. So Alabama fans will probably not be real happy to hear that I flipped Corral and Young this week, but it's a long season. It could easily change back. So at this point, this is just for fun, and we'll see how this settles out. There's two more quarterbacks that I had in the rankings this week. I've got Jefferson of Arkansas this week at number 3, and Will Rogers of Mississippi State at 6. Rogers dropped, frankly, because he didn't play last week, and some other guys had really good games just to move ahead of him. So nothing against Will Rogers, nothing he did wrong to drop, but just some other guys had great performances last week, and you have to value that. And as far as Jefferson goes, he was tremendous against Ole Miss. Arkansas lost that game, but it wasn't his fault. He led that offense to 51 points. He's a dual threat guy. And that's one thing that I really like about Corral. I think rushing yards are valuable too. I don't just look at passing yards. And so Jefferson has really been tremendous this year and, of course, has led Arkansas to 2 huge wins. Running backs, there's several of these guys in there. I've got Tyler Badie of Missouri at 6, and I've got Chris Rodriguez of Kentucky ahead of him this week. Actually, Badie's got better numbers. He's got 12 total touchdowns, but frankly, what he's done has not had the value of what Rodriguez has done. Rodriguez has been a really key cog in Kentucky's offense. He, of course, has led Kentucky to a 6-0 start. And you just look at what he's done, the consistency every week. I think he's been 99 yards or more rushing. He catches a few passes, not what Badie does, but I just value what you do and when you do it. And Chris Rodriguez right now has had the best year of any running back in the SEC. Now, Badie's been no slouch either. He's had a couple of 200-yard rushing games. He catches a ton of passes. But again, I look at competition and what it means, and just his performance in some games really hasn't carried as much weight. Missouri is really beaten up on some mediocre defenses. That's when Badie has gotten a lot of his numbers. Again, nothing against Tyler Badie, but you look at the way Chris Rodriguez has done his job and what it's meant, and I just think his carries more meaning even if Badie's got a little better stats. Some other running backs in the countdown, I've got Isaiah Spiller at A&M. He dropped a few spots. He's just a tremendous back. Now, A&M really splits a lot of touches. Devin Achane gets a lot of touches too, and that eats into his numbers. And Spiller was a little banged up last week. I think that hurt his production against Alabama, but make no mistake, that kid is a really good running back and one of the best in the league, if not one of the best in the country. Then we get to wide receivers, and I've got a lot of them in here. I've got Wan'Dale Robinson of Kentucky. I've got him as the top wideout in the league right now. Again, Wan'Dale Robinson runs the ball some, so it's not just the receiving numbers. He's put up some rushing yards too, which he did at Nebraska. I've got Kayshon Boutte right after him. Now, I might have flipped that had Boutte not gotten hurt late in the game, and this will probably be his last spot in the rankings for the year because he's gotten hurt, and there's no sense in keeping an injured player who's missing half the season in the countdown. But I wanted to give him a little bit of recognition for the season he's had to date, so he's in there. He finishes his year with 9 touchdown catches. I don't know where that stands after this week, but I know coming into last week that led the country in touchdown receptions. I've got Treylon Burks of Arkansas in there, who's been up and down, but has had some huge games at huge times. Jameson Williams at Alabama has entered the countdown. I've had John Mechie in there a lot of the year, and not Williams, even though Williams has looked better at times, frankly. I wanted to see a little more body of work. We kind of knew what John Mechie could do after last year. With Jameson Williams, we really weren't sure as much what he'd do at Alabama, but to me right now it's pretty clear that he is the number one wide receiver on that team. Mechie's really good too, but I think on film when I've watched Alabama, Williams has popped a little more to this point and has got better numbers. A couple more Alabama guys. I left Brian Robinson out of the running back conversation earlier. That was not intentional. Robinson's had a terrific year, has really picked it up of late. And then I've also got Evan Neal. I've only got one offensive lineman in there this week, with apologies to Darian Kennard at Kentucky, and maybe he should have been in there. Neal is my only offensive lineman in there this week. That may change going forward. And then I've got Dontario Drummond of Ole Miss, who's done really good things so far. Had a huge touchdown catch, I think, in the game on Saturday, and has put up the best numbers among Ole Miss's wideouts. Any case, these rankings are going to get really interesting. And again, remember, most of the big games haven't been played yet. And so if you're wondering why our rankings have a good bit of volatility week to week, that's why. When the guy has a huge game against a big opponent, you make that adjustment in your rankings. And so I don't necessarily go by, I had this guy here last week and I can't move him down or whatever. I reevaluate this every week just to make sure that I think I'm making the right choices. So lots of good games to be played. I'll be watching those pretty closely. But in the meantime, we'll have fun doing this every week. Be sure to check out our rankings at our website, southeastern14.com. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you're watching now. And anyway, we'll keep up the coverage with the rest of the year. And thank you for watching us today at the 14.